Hey, fam, what's up? We have another amazing episode with another amazing guest, as always. And before we get into this specific episode, I do want to remind you guys, if you haven't seen, Spotify now has ratings just like Apple Podcast does. So make sure you give us 5 stars. Apple and Spotify, I think, are the only ones that do that, but like we'll take 5 stars on
Yes.
both. Just saying.
Absolutely.
Feel free to leave a review on Apple as well. I'm sure Spotify at some point will start doing those too, but it just really helps us out. It really pushes us up in the algorithm and allows other people to discover our show. So thank you if you've already done that. Thank you, thank you, thank you. But today's guest, we have Ms. Heidi Cox. And let's see, I personally first met Heidi several years ago through a mutual friend, Donna Ricci. And then when we joined the Geekscape network, we found out that the owner of Geekscape, Jonathan, is actually Heidi's boyfriend, now fiance. So at the end of all of our episodes, when we have a little Geekscape bumper, that's her voice, you guys. Isn't that kind of cool? Like she's actually a guest now.
It's amazing.
Yeah. But yes. So we talk about a lot of things. She is a actress, filmmaker. She creates a lot of her own content. So we talk about that and, where that comes from and building your community to work with and all kinds of things on this episode. So I'm excited for you guys.
We get open, honest, and vulnerable and like how that can be scary at times. But
why I just important too.
Exactly. And what you get, like the community or like, just overall, it's not, what we do isn't selfish. And I think sometimes we can shame ourselves into thinking that. And I love that, we kind of talk about why it's not and why, stories like what we get into today are important to share and all about that. So I think you guys will hopefully be inspired. And if you are in a situation like so, that you can find hope and support around yourself and others.
Yeah. So without further ado, we have Heidi Cox, who's I just want to also mention owns the production company Dweeb Darlings, and she'll talk about that a little bit on the show as well.
Yeah. So stay tuned, guys. Love ya. Tell us, girl, where you got started, what launched your company, and what recent projects you got going on now. Let's get into it.
That's so nice. I was just meeting with my friend, Sean Piccinino. His name, I never can pronounce it right. He's a director. And we were just having this conversation about like where we both started. Sean directed the California Christmas movies that are on Netflix. But they're doing very well. They're doing very well.
I saw some artificial snow in downtown LA shooting.
I know, like
that's like where it happens. It's crazy.
Don't you just want to really be in one of those cheesy Christmas movies? I do. My mom watches all of them. Right?
Just one. Yeah, I just need like that one Hallmark movie. Like where I get to see how it's actually kind of incredible. Like seeing how they like do that in.
Well, a lot of times they do it in Vancouver now. But if Hallmark, if you're listening, we are very interested in being in one of your Christmas or holiday themed movies.
Yes.
Anyway, sorry. So I was talking to him about like, cause he kind of started out as like stunts and stuff. And like, I did theater back home, but I started late. I was kind of a late bloomer cause I was shy. I sang, I danced. And then I moved to LA. After I split up with my fiance that I had in like my early 20s. Right. So, and I was like, oh, this is a bad match. We shouldn't get married. And I want to go to LA and pursue film. Cause there wasn't a lot of, I'm from South Carolina. There wasn't a ton of film stuff there at the time. I mean, there's more now, especially in Atlanta. But I came here, I started taking classes. I got a day job. I had several day jobs. I'm sure you know what I'm talking about.
Oh, yeah.
And then I got into an abusive relationship that lasted for like 6 years. And around year 4.5, 5 of that relationship, I started like a voice in my head started saying like, you have an idea for something funny. You should just make something, people in post-production, people who have cameras. And like, I think it was that part of me that wanted to survive and like
Mhm.
hear my own voice again. So that's when
Yeah.
that's when I created
Yeah.
Stalking LeVar, which is the web series that I learned how to write. I first learned how to write on. And I created that with my friend Megan
Wow.
Green, who is she's a sketch comedy person who now she's moved to Omaha with her family, but very talented. And so it just started as a funny sketch about two girls that thought LeVar Burton was their best friend and were a little kooky and like not quite in touch with reality. And it turned into this whole like dramedy thing that was ended up being like 14 episodes, 2 seasons.
Wow, that's a lot. Like, I feel like a lot of web series are like, okay, like 5 episodes,
Mhm.
we're cool, we're done, you know? So,
Yeah,
yeah, it's impressive.
well, there's short form, like 5 to 7
Mhm.
minutes, that sort of thing, which was really good because you're kind of writing little short films. And
Yeah.
Yeah, and able to push it
Mhm.
out like
Yeah.
quicker and like get it
Yeah.
done, get it actually done.
Yeah.
That's actually really
And
smart.
it ended up
awesome.
saving my life in a way because it gave me a sense of self again, which I'd spent a
Mhm.
lot of time relying on external validation from people,
Mhm.
and I carefully approach this story, and the more I write, the more I'm willing to reveal about myself and that sort of thing. And in the beginning I was very careful, like,
Yeah.
and
Yeah. I know.
yeah,
I know exactly what you're
you
talking
you learn as you go.
about.
But what's really funny is even when you're careful and you go back and you look at it and you're like, oh my gosh, this is what I was going through. Like you kind of know and you can see it in your
Yeah.
writing. And so it ended up being like this really amazing thing that happened because I don't even know that I would have met Jonathan had I not created that show.
Mhm.
Because
Wow.
I met him through Stephanie Pressman, who she was an actress on Stalking LeVar, and she came and produced a little bit for me on that. And she's one of my closest friends, and she dragged me out to a party one night when I had just split up with a guy, not the abusive one, but I had dated
Mhm.
someone else, and that was the night I met him, and we became good friends. We were friends for a long time. So
Yeah.
it's crazy, right? Like, but I got out of that abusive relationship because I started to create, and I feel like art.
You attracted another energy
Mhm.
that you
Yeah.
were like moving away from, and you kind of had closure from then.
Yeah,
The
I
past in
I
a
just
way.
remember him like being really critical of what I was doing, and me going, "Oh, I don't really can I curse on this show? Is it okay?
Yes.
I don't really give a
Yes.
fuck what you think anymore." Like that was really
Yeah.
I can't believe I don't give a fuck what he thinks. I give zero, and like I was like, okay, bye bye,
Yeah.
and it took a little bit of time, but I did
Of
not
course.
care. I did not care what he thought. I was like, I
Yeah.
don't care if nobody cares. I care. This is,
And
Yeah.
amen.
And that's
Yeah.
such, I mean, that's growth beyond just that relationship too. Like
Mhm.
that, because then you realize like it doesn't matter what everybody else thinks, not just that one person, but everybody,
Yeah,
which is like, it's beautiful that art can be such a healing thing,
it really can.
Yeah.
It really can. And I mean, we talk about that all the time in Chimera Project, which is
Mhm.
the nonprofit female filmmaker organization I'm part of, which also, I mean, Dweeb Darlings obviously is for female, female filmmakers, non-binary, all of that. Like,
Mhm.
but the cool thing about Chimera is that there's all these like cool opportunities and well, we get grants and then we award. I can't remember exactly the right terminology for it, but we're able to help. We're able to help filmmakers, and
Yeah.
support them and stuff. So, and
How do you spell that? I'm sorry,
Yeah, I was
Chimera.
gonna say.
okay, I'm gonna double check. I know because and I think some people pronounce it chimera or whatever, but we pronounce
Okay.
it chimera. It's CHIMAERA, the Chimera
Okay.
Project. Definitely check it out.
Yeah.
Chimeraproject.org, I believe. So it's there's so many. I mean, and I'm the chair of the ambassadors, and the ambassadors are the people who show up for the filmmakers and in whatever
Nice.
capacity, whether we're like, oh, I saw this really cool film by this great director, writer, whatever, here's the link to it, or I'm at this event with with Tessa Markle and she just starred in this thing and she wrote, that's what we do. And then we promote.
That's amazing. Like that's so important because I know we run into a lot, us personally, but also just seeing it with other female filmmakers is like, it's so tough to break in because so much more is expected from us as women, which is, it's just such a like hypocritical double standard kind of thing. But it's like, we have to prove ourselves to be able to make it to the next step.
Over
and over.
And
exactly. Exactly. So having advocates is like, it's huge,
I was just complaining to Sean a minute ago about how like, I mean, I'm not getting a lot of auditions and I don't know why. I like have all this footage on my reel. I've been nominated for Best Actress at several film festivals. Like I have headshots. My agent's fine with all this stuff and he doesn't know the reason why either. And it's like, I mean, I know like casting women, like there's still fewer roles for women, but it's kind of always been that way since I've moved here. It's like nobody really, there's like, I know there's not a magic formula. It's just, I don't know.
And that's why like we've found at least some power in producing so we could have a little bit more control. But getting still the opportunities, the funding, the all of that is still other hurdles in the process of like getting our own work done.
Yeah.
I know. Like, I think so many, I mean, that's definitely the reason why I shot stuff. I needed footage and I wanted to show what I could do.
Yeah.
So you write roles that you're like, I've always wanted to play a physical comedy role, or I've always wanted to do a musical, or I've done all that stuff. Like, I've fallen on my face.
Yeah. I love too that like, well, I love it and I hate it because I wish it didn't have to be this way, but I love the fact that, as an actor, like for me, acting is still my number one thing that I'm pursuing.
Same.
As an actor, having the filmmaking like title or whatever, as well, kind of like legitimizes you in a way. Like it makes people think like, okay, they're not just sitting at home waiting for auditions. Like they're taking that, that initiative and, creating that for themselves. So
yeah, it's almost like a requirement these days in a way.
Yeah. Yeah.
It definitely is. And thank you for sharing your past. I've come from a similar past, and in my writing, that is what I've centered on in the past couple of years. And even with our psychological thriller, that is the central theme, is like toxic, abusive relationships. And I've extended it to also friendships.
Yeah.
After reflecting too, of those in my life, and that it's just like, wow, I've really been, maybe there's just something I haven't really, like traits I haven't looked out for in people or noticed until like later in my life, that, wow, I've been constantly like attached to these people who know how to manipulate, or
it's true.
And it's been a crossover in both friendships and a really bad relationship I've had. So I get it. And like, yeah, that person, when I started writing our first script, Cerca la Donna, which we want to work on after our sci-fi because it needs more money.
Girl,
because it needs a lot
Tell
more
me about
money.
it, girl. Tell me about it.
Yeah, I was just like, I love that you mentioned the editing, because I was still with that person. And I was just like, I was using like almost verbatim things that he'd said to me. But then I was like, wait, like he might, see that. Like it was still like I hadn't fully detached, and a lot of it was fucked up in terms of like my career choices. He really didn't like me being an actress. Wanted me to really be a producer so I could like not be in that spotlight and like be a whore.
He sounds great. He sounds great.
He sounds amazing.
Yeah, I'm so sorry you went through that. I am very sorry.
No, I'm just saying, like, I thank you. I would say I'm sorry too, but if anything, it's brought us to where we are today as women in order to empower. And that's why I care to write about these stories. It's healing for me, but also I'm like, I know I'm not alone. You're not alone. And like, it sucks, but it's very common.
Yeah, no, I started with comedy, and now I'm about to hopefully make this year, I'm hoping a drama about religious and religious abuse and child abuse within a Southern Christian family. Like that's
Mhm.
that, and it's
Mhm.
based on some stuff in my life too. And I know it's gonna probably upset some people, but I think it's important to share these things,
Yeah.
and bring awareness.
Absolutely. I mean, I was Mormon while I was going through that. So
You
I
what?
like if we talk, I was Mormon like
Oh
while I was
yeah. Oh
going
my
through that.
gosh.
So there was also a lot of religious guilt,
Mhm.
and that was part of the like I had an issue leaving that relationship because
It's
of that
hard.
tie too. It was
Yeah.
it was really hard. I had like complete loss of identity.
Yeah.
Like I didn't
I'm so
know.
sorry. Yeah.
So
I was raised fairly conservative. I mean, my mom she's still really cool with me, like not being quite on that same
oh,
trajectory.
my parents and
Yeah.
I've had to come.
Yeah.
We had to go through our
Yeah.
time, but we're cool
Yeah.
now, and I love
My
them.
dad,
Like,
my
thank God.
my relationship with my dad's complicated. Like they're not together. So, but
Mhm.
yeah, a lot like even my writing in Chasing Fletcher Allen, my writing in Stalking the Bar, it does have to do with like a father figure, like them not being
Mhm.
there and attaching yourself to other father figures, hence LeVar Burton, like that kind of thing.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
yeah, you don't even kind of realize what you're writing until you look back at it sometimes. So but
Yeah.
I'm sorry you went through that. I am excited to see what kind of stories come from it and like how you can help people with that information. And thank you.
Likewise.
Yeah.
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 No, I likewise. That's why we love this show so much, because then we can hear each other's stories and like hear the backstory to
Mhm.
the story.
Yeah.
Mhm.
You know, like not everyone's reading my director pitch deck like synopsis.
Yeah.
But people,
And it's sometimes hard. Like I was even telling Tessa, like I got teary. I was struggling to even write that segment of the pitch deck because that's where I had to be really like upfront and personal
Super
about
raw.
it. And I was just like, yeah, like I don't have you had to have moments like that too, where you're like, I have to like actually now take ownership too of this story in
yeah, it's
my
scary.
personal way. It's so
Yeah,
scary.
I'm scared now. I'm like, even though I was driving over here,
Yeah.
I was like, should I make that film? Maybe I won't make that, because I'm gonna get,
Yeah, you question it all, like, is this like okay? And then I almost feel selfish or like
Mhm.
and then am I really admitting to this and that? I don't know.
And your
It's like very
abusers will use
complicated.
that part of you, that big-hearted, kind part of you that like looks and goes, am I being selfish? I mean, part of
Yeah.
religion is
Yeah.
like, I mean, I'm not going to say like all religion, because there are really kind people in the church that I grew up in that like are so loving,
Same.
but there are certain components of religion that will really beat down your guilt and your like, oh, am I putting others before myself? Am I putting God first? Am I being, godly and all this is stuff? And you end up forgetting to nourish yourself, and
Mhm.
that it's okay to do
Right.
that. And it's
Yeah.
okay to
Mhm.
sometimes be quote selfish. Like,
Yeah.
it's okay to say no. It's okay to,
Putting yourself first doesn't make you selfish
Mhm.
or just
Right.
being open and honest about something and wanting to share a story. I mean, that's the thing, like exactly, he made me feel like my career was very
Mhm.
selfish and like not about family awareness in the future, which I do want, and I do think I can have
Yeah.
both. Why can't I?
absolutely
Like
can.
why? But I need a partner who
And it's
supports that.
worthy.
And
That's why I say don't
Yeah.
settle. Like it took a
no,
long
it's
time to
not.
find Jonathan, but we
Mhm.
found each other, and he's so loving and adoring and supportive and everything I've ever wanted. And it's like, don't settle ever.
Yeah.
Well, I'm in a beautiful relationship now too, and that
Yay.
person 1000. And that's like something you said, and I know we're like going on a relationship
okay.
tangent here, guys, but it's important because relationships are what fuels our stories and what gives us a healthy, awareness, whether again friendships or relationships of the romantic. But like he, where was it going with that? He like really gives me, what you said about getting what you actually want is attainable. Like,
Mhm.
I didn't know that I could have exactly what I wanted, and you really can.
You
Like
can.
that kind of
Mhm.
like, and then it affects your ability to write and create
Mhm.
and like actually do the things you need to do. Like this industry is already so fucking
It's
hard.
Yeah.
You don't need relationships that drain you or like try to constrict you.
Absolutely.
But that's why this whole conversation we're having right now, it isn't selfish, and it is important that we tell these stories because, you know, you're not writing them from a space of just like, I imagine this is what happened. You're writing them from a space of, I actually experienced this. So it's truth coming through you, whether it's, you know, a fictional story, but it's your truth that is these characters are experiencing. So then when other people see that, then they get it and they have this realization. And, you know, it's like, again, going back to like abusive relationships and stuff, I was in an emotionally abusive relationship a long, long time ago, but I didn't even know that was a thing until 50 Shades of Grey came out and people were like talking about that aspect of it. And I was like, wait, really? And then like started just like hearing about people talking about it more. And I was like, oh, I can put a label on this now, you know? So like it's sharing your stories with other people and being vulnerable about it allows everybody to relate and identify and be able to either get out of that relationship, move on and heal, you know, however it applies to them. So it is super important and is the opposite of selfish, really.
Absolutely. And then taking care of yourself is kind of the opposite of selfish, because if you're not healthy, you're not going to be able to be there for other people. You know? So and storytelling is a great way of expressing that. And like you said, there are people that go through these things and they need to hear it. Who knows? Maybe there's somebody out there trapped in a situation they don't think they have a way out. And just knowing that they're not alone gives them a little, like plants a little seed or waters that seed for a second, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. Because I think we all like have those thoughts like little by little, and you know, if you're hearing more people talk about it too, it's like, okay, I'm not alone, and like, yeah, maybe I should really consider leaving. Like, I don't need to feel so alone in this.
I thought that I was all alone until I started creating my show, and then all these people were like, "That's a funny idea," and then it's a thing that I always say. It's like surround yourself with people who already love you instead of the ones you think should. You know, which is another way of saying like, go where you're celebrated, not tolerated. Right. So I think that was what happened. It was like, I felt like I was this burden. And then it's like, you know what, this is what I want to do. And then there were all these people like, we want to do it too. Like, let's all do it together. And then you do in friendships, you start learning about like certain friendships that you have that you're like, okay, I need to keep this person here. I need to cut this thing off. Like I had a friend, one of my yoga teacher friends, she was like, I call it pruning. And she does like these little scissors with her fingers. Like, you know, like if it's not healthy, then you got to set a boundary, you know?
Yeah.
Yes. Hey, fam. Are you getting stuck trying to find the right song or sound effect from free music libraries, or not wanting to spend so much money on a subscription plan for just a 30-second clip?
That's why we're very excited to tell you guys about our new sponsor, Jambox. They provide affordable music from composers who have worked for people like Michael Bay and Martin Scorsese.
Their payment plans only cover what you actually need. And they even have custom plans, ranging from $6 a month to $1,500 a year. There are lots of options.
Oh, we've paid way more than that for just one track before. The different price levels cater to every kind of creator, big or small, but all of the pricing plans are pretty fair for exclusive music.
So head on over to jambox.io to explore their music libraries, which are, by the way, amazing, and range from a ton of different music genres and moods to find the right track for your specific project needs.
And because they love supporting creators, they're offering 10% off when you use our promo code FEMME10 at checkout. Again, that's FEMME, FEMME 10 at jambox.io. Carolina and I are excited to talk to you, fam, about one of our newest sponsors.
We are obsessed longtime users, which makes us extra excited for us to share with you, fam. So if you're into filmmaking, and really, why else would you be here? You've probably already heard of Celtics.
Whether you're creating a feature film, short film, episodic series, video ad, or really any kind of video content, Celtics' video production tools can help you break and structure your story, write and edit your script, and manage every step of the pre-production and production process. You can, Guide story ideation with digital index cards. Write your script using one of 4 script templates. Set the visual direction for your project using the storyboard tool. Break down your script quickly and easily with script asset tagging. Create daily shooting schedules, production calendars, and call sheets. Manage budgets and track costs. And do it all from a secure, cloud-based, and team-focused online studio.
Head to Celtics.com, that's CELTX.com, to create your free 2-project Celtics account. When you sign up, you'll get unlimited access to Celtics' full suite of tools for your first 7 days.
Celtics, the all-in-one solution for script writing and video production planning.
So building that community, have you stuck with the same team throughout all your work?
More or less. I mean, I definitely learned things
Yeah.
about that too. Like you actually learn who you work
Mhm.
well with and who you don't work well with too. You can still be really close friends with some people and like be like, you know what? I'm never going to like 50-50 this with you because it ends up being like 80-20. And,
Yeah.
you know, I mean, I was kind of telling, what was it? Jonathan did the Geekscape Live event not that long ago. I think he was feeling a little like alone in some of it at times. I was like, but sweetie, this is your company. It's like, I felt the same way sometimes with Dweeb Darlings, but it's your child. So you're going to be the one until you can like offer people tons and tons of money to like work with you. It's just going to be that, or like
you have to care about it the most and work the hardest
or like a
at it.
profit share, like a ownership of the company itself, then it's going to mostly be you. But yeah, I mean, it was sad. Like there was, I won't say who, but there was a female director I really was excited to work with on Stalking LeVar, and it ended up being a disaster. And it turns out I'm pretty sure she was struggling with addiction, which is a serious thing, you know. And it ended up definitely burning some bridges with her. But I actually learned a lot from that, because at the time I was still finding my voice. It was still early on after I had not had a voice at all, or had muffled my voice. And there was some behavior that she displayed that I should have fired her for, but I was afraid to fire her. And now I know it's like, you know what? No, like in the future, if I run into that, I'm just going to set that boundary. Right. So, and it's not personal, it's business.
Yeah. I mean, we've had to learn that the hard way too.
Yeah, it's unfortunate too, because I want to bring in more women to do things, but you know, people are people and not everyone's perfect.
People are people.
Yeah, like
That's
just because you're a girl doesn't mean you're amazing. Just because you're a guy doesn't mean you're amazing, or anything in between. You know, what you just learn.
Yeah.
You know, and
well, that's why I was curious, like, have you then found, like, feel like at this point you found your people that you really jive with and like continue to work with? Because that's where we're hoping to build our people.
Yeah.
We've started, but
there are, and actually funny, like Jonathan and I made a film together. So I teamed up with Geekscape and Fonco, which is owned by my friend Fawn Davis. And I love working with Fawn. I worked with Fawn before. Jonathan and I, we work okay together, but we figured out actually that it's not good for us to be partners on like a artistic thing. One of us needs to be the boss. And one of us needs to be like the employee, either or, you know what I mean? So like, cause I mean, even though we shot Chasing Fletcher Allen, we were going through some personal stuff too. I think even now, the only thing that we ever really fight about is our film. Like we have arguments. So like, we just like, from now on, like, he's like, yeah, when you direct something, I'll bring cupcakes or whatever. I mean, that sort of thing. And
champion.
Yeah.
And that's just like where it's at. The moral
well,
support.
and you just kind of,
which is huge.
But we learned that like, he wrote with me. Like I wrote the first probably 8 drafts before he jumped in there, but like, he doesn't like to sit down and write with you. He likes to look at it and then make changes and then send it back and forth. And
that's me to Carolina. She's the writer. I'm the editor.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I mean, and we definitely, cause you know, he's funny. Like I needed him to add some of his funny into the script, but you know, like I like working with Geekscape, and now like we're going to get married and stuff. So that, you know, like we will.
You're marrying Geekscape.
Dweebscape, Dweeb Darling. I don't know, Geek Darlings. But And then with the Dweeb Darlings people, there are certain people that I definitely will always go to. And
That's
there are certain
awesome.
people that I've learned what role they're good in and what role may not be the best role for them. And including myself.
For sure.
So you'll definitely you'll continue to build a community. And I hope to continue to build community. It's fun.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
It is. And as for a Dweeb Darling specifically, is it essentially then just you and like these people you want to keep working with? But as far as like actual like member of quote unquote Dweeb Darlings?
That's a great question. Megan is definitely like an honorary part of it, even though she's not really that involved anymore. It's mostly just me.
Okay.
Stephanie Pressman I consider to be like a founding member. She was there in the beginning. And she definitely is involved at times in things, and then sometimes she's not. I mean, but it's mostly me. And then sometimes, like, I think I was redoing the website, and sometimes on the website I'll have listed like who this is our post-production supervisor for now, and but I think we're shifting all that stuff, not because of any hard feelings. It's just people are juggling things and moving around. So but yeah, I guess Dweeb Darlings is mostly me. So it's really Dweeb Darling. but I wanted to feel like a community, and I feel like people like America Young and stuff, I consider her like part of us. And I was actually talking to my high school drama teacher in her class today on Zoom, and I was telling them it is really about like your friends and connections and who you meet, and it really is a huge part of it. It's
so true. That's the one thing I like, at least being out here. It is a little bit more tangible or within reach with the community in LA. So I really appreciate that.
But something else too, because I was talking to a friend recently about this, of like, at some point, if I do want to move out of LA and just, experience somewhere else, but still keep acting and everything, like I would have to go somewhere where there's a market, right? But I just hate the idea of like starting from scratch. And my friend was like, you're not starting from scratch, especially because you came from LA, which is one of the biggest markets. All of those relationships are still going to carry over. They're going to know somebody in this other market. They're going to help you reach out to somebody. Like, you're not starting from scratch, which was a huge relief.
I'm nodding. Yes. Yeah. For the listeners, we're both nodding.
Yeah. I mean, all the people, like tons of our favorite female filmmakers on the show are not even from LA, cool. Unfortunately.
That's all right.
We're like, no, I want to hang out with you.
That's adorable.
But no, it's super awesome. So I always tell people like, you don't have to be in this town to be a filmmaker or actress,
especially
or
now.
To do whatever you want.
Now.
Yeah, for sure.
When I first moved here, it wasn't like that. So I'm glad that it's expanded.
But I like it.
I like it too. I like it here.
Yeah. I like it here. Tessa, just shut the
I wish it would.
I'm not going to move right away, you guys.
I wish it would rain.
She keeps
I wish it would just rain more than just like 1 week a year. That's my main complaint, because my skin gets so dry.
I know what you mean.
Girl,
that's like our winter is the 1 week of rain that we have.
I know.
Here, right? Like,
and I missed it. Jonathan and I went to Austin to see his family. So the whole week that it rained, I missed all the rain. Wah, wah.
Well, tell us a little bit more about your upcoming film, like kind of where you are in the process with that.
The domestic violence one, the abuse one. It's very early. There's also a sci-fi film that I want to make that I actually put on hold because of COVID. But it's about religious abuse and like child abuse and sort of like breaking free from that. It's based on something that happened in my life. It's very, very scary. I've written a few drafts of the script, and I thought I showed it to Jonathan. I was just like, because he gets on to me. He drives me crazy sometimes because I'll be like, I'm not getting auditions. Why am I? And he's like, you need to keep writing. And I'm like, leave me alone, because he has like 1,000 stories in his head all the time, and it's still kind of like, it takes a lot of effort for me to come up with something. But I was kind of inspired by my friend Minerva Vier, who she made a film called Shevolution, which is like the best title ever, about like a domestic violence relationship she was in, and like her addiction and like how she went through that and evolved. And she's been like every festival is taking it.
Wow.
She's won all these awards. It's a beautiful film. So proud of
Yeah.
her.
Aw.
And it's really based on actual events in her life. And I was like, you know what?
Yeah.
I should just
If she can be vulnerable and like that to that degree, yeah, it's definitely motivating.
Yeah. So like
when you're really scared
Yes.
and don't want to
I wrote
share.
it though. I wrote it and I showed it to Jonathan and he finally read it. And I thought Jonathan's like, he's a teacher too. Like that's his day job. He teaches at a film school. And I thought he's always honest with me about scripts. And I thought, oh God, here we go. And he texts me like a few pages in and he's like, this is already freaking amazing. You better make this film. Like, it's written so well. And I'm like, you're crazy. Stop it. And he's like, no. And he's like, he'll joke. He'll say like, you write better without me. As opposed to us writing together, he thinks like, cause he likes all the Stalking LeVar scripts and everything that I've written. So I showed it to Chimera Project. I'm hoping, cause it does kind of have a little bit of a PSA feel to it. Though I don't necessarily want it to be just a PSA. It could definitely fall into that category. I want to use like public domain hymns as like the soundtrack, especially poignant ones that like have a theme that go with the story, like I'll Fly Away, that kind of stuff. I don't know if you guys know, like I know Mormon hymns are probably like completely like the whole other thing. I'm just thinking about like
I've actually found like some crossover in some Christian religions.
I mean, I was raised Catholic. I went to Catholic school my whole life until college. So I feel like I know every Catholic hymn to exist at this point, but
that's cool. Yeah. I mean, I know a few of the Catholic hymns, but like, this is all like, I grew up Church of Christ and Church of Christ is wonderful. I don't want to like badmouth it. This is more about like specific when people take something out of context and use it for controlling purposes or like they misunderstand Jesus. I think, like a lot, my friend, I have a really good friend who's a political comedian. His name's John Fugelsang. And like, he is so smart when it comes to like religion, and like the political climate right now and that sort of thing. And how people who say that they support this person, I won't say a name, maybe that doesn't really coincide with them supporting Jesus, like it's not quite the same thing. And it's a really good point, that's sort of the angle that I'm taking with it. And then, in the South too, there's all this, especially when I was younger, it was starting to go away, but like, physical discipline and all this stuff. And people who had tempers that weren't able to control it because they were going through whatever they were going through. And then they take and then they pile on the, like, well, you're a woman and you're a child and you need to listen to me. And so it's based on a situation that happens. And I really hope that it can help me like express myself, but also help other people who might be struggling with that. Some of the, like the board members at Chimera, like they might, I'm kind of pitching it to them. I've made a pitch deck for it to see like if there's any way that they could partner with me, even just by being a fiscal sponsor or something like that. It's about finding money, the money for it too.
That's exactly where we're at with our film. So we get it.
Yeah. So I don't want it to, I don't want it to be like super expensive. Jonathan's like, you need to get a name to play this character. And I'm like, like we've got a name actor. We have a name actor in Chasing Fletcher Allen and it's great, but I don't necessarily need that. I just want it to be good,
Yeah.
That's also how we feel.
Yeah, we get that.
Because we want to start it. So we're like, that's us. It's our name.
I want to direct this one and I haven't directed a ton. So I'm like, but I want to shoot it kind of like, you guys watch Handmaid's Tale?
I haven't. I've only watched the very beginning.
They just have this really
I'm
cool. The DP really knows their shiznit, because like it's just this really cool. Like they shoot stuff kind of like it's a painting in the wides, and then sometimes the close-ups are like in and out of focus and things like that. That I wanted to have because it's really about a character based on me who goes home for a funeral and is sort of flooded with all these memories of what happens, and then has to encounter this behavior that she, you know, got away from, but now has to be reminded of. So
right, taken right back to
and
it.
how she deals with it and how she frees herself from it. So
do you have a title for it yet?
No, I can't think of one.
Okay.
I wish I could have come up with something cool like She-volution.
You will. Give it time. You will.
Another friend I need to introduce you to.
Yeah.
She's wonderful.
Yeah.
She's wonderful. She's Filipino American, and she's like just killing it. Killing it.
Nice.
Hell yeah. Yeah. Love that. No, I agree. The title is perfect, but titles take time sometimes.
They do.
So I always thought I had to have it before like I could really even like get in there, but no, you just need a working title and figure it out.
Or just untitled.
Yeah, this is the first time I haven't been able to come. Like Stalking LeVar came to me like that, you know.
Yeah.
But like I can't I can't but I will. It'll come to me. It'll come to me. So
yeah, definitely.
Yeah, because you're still in the writing process too.
Yeah, I'm still making edits and stuff.
Yeah, it'll come through there, girl. We know. I'm like still like now I'm on revision 4 or 5 of the full thing. It's a lot.
So.
Yeah.
But I'm excited to hopefully make it this year. Fingers crossed. I mean, I'm also planning a wedding, so I'm flipping my hair while I say that. I'm planning
just a few things she has to plan, you guys. No big deal.
So that's really like, I mean, and we're still like, Jonathan wants to make a couple changes to Chasing Fletcher Allen. That's what we argue about. Like, he wants to do all these changes, and I'm like, but I like it, you know. But he's like, but I want to do this and this and this, and I'm like, okay, well, maybe he can. If I'm gonna let him have a pass at it and see if he can make it better than I already think it is. But we've won some awards, and
nice.
Yeah, we've won.
Congrats. Yeah.
Best comedy short at Lady Filmmakers.
That's
and
really
best
nice.
Short film at the Reedy Reels Festival in my hometown, which was cool.
Okay. That's fun. Yeah. Amazing. Well, thank you so much, Heidi, for coming on today and all of this. I think this was a super great conversation.
Yay.
I mean, we did everything from like the really personal kind of dark stuff to like what it takes to build, you know, your community and all of that. And just, yeah, I think this was a really great episode. So thank you so much. And I'm excited to connect with your friends that you've mentioned too. So like I said, that's always like a bonus, you know, when we get to meet more people through our guests.
I'm excited to introduce you. Well, thank you for having me so much. I really appreciate it.
No, we are honored. And anywhere else our followers can
plug
stay
your social media websites, all of that stuff.
Okay.
Yes.
You know, stay following along.
Yeah, sure. Let's see. I mean, I think I'm at Ms. Heidi Cox on everything, including my website is also MsHeidiCox.com. Not Miss, Ms. So but yeah, it's like Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, I think even TikTok, even though I don't have any videos yet. I'm just starting to figure that thing out. That thing's crazy. And then, that's, and then it'll take you to Dweeb Darlings. I mean, Dweeb Darlings is also on social media too. So.
Perfect.
All right, guys, we'll plug it in the show notes, but there you have it. Awesome. Miss Heidi Cox, y'all. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to Femme Regard Podcast. If you like what you hear, tune in every Friday for more tips on the filmmaking business and insightful conversations with industry professionals. We can only grow with your support, so please subscribe, share, rate, and review. You can also join the Femme Fam on Patreon. For more on us, check us out at femregard.com.
You're listening to the Geekscape Network.